Good morning, you're watching Addis News Hour, commencing with the headlines. Planning Minister heralds Ethiopia's economy remained resilient against all odds. Press Secretary indicates TPLF is still in a position to wage war against own country. Once again, hello and welcome. I'm Zotur Desaling on Addis News Hour. As for your news, do stay tuned.
ATV English will bring you fresh stories on the diplomatic arena.
The Council of Ministers has begun reviewing its 10-month performances. Plan and Development Minister Dr. Fitsum Assefa stated though the country encountered multiple internal and external setbacks, the multifaceted situations in the country proved reliable. As the case in point, the economy has performed beyond expectation. The session is being chaired by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Tugasar Nisa prepared the following report.
The Council of Ministers has stated Ethiopia has been able to appear reliable in its performance over a multifaceted sector, though encountered multiple internal and external setbacks. The session is being chaired by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Presenting the report, Plan and Development Minister Dr. Fitsum Assefa stated though the country encountered multiple internal and external setbacks, the multifaceted situation in the country proved reliable.
You know that our country encountered a number of internal and external challenges. There are multiple of global challenges that are dealt internationally, starting from COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, the Russia-Ukraine war that could have a negative impact on the country's economy. And also there are a lot of domestic challenges as well. Nevertheless, all sorts of challenges, the economy was resilient enough to be able to keep its stability.
Fitsum expressed that Ethiopia's economy is expected to rise 6.6% by the end of this Ethiopian fiscal year.
We could take a look at the major macroeconomic performance. Even if there are a number of challenges faced during the Ethiopian fiscal year, the country's economy is estimated to rise by 6.6% by the end of this fiscal year.
She also urged that in order to achieve even more positive results, a lot more needs to be done.
በግብርና በበጋ ስንዴ የተገኘው ምርት የሸቀጦች የውጪ ንግድ ገቢ በቻሌንጅ ውስጥ ሆኖ የተመዘገበው በአገር ውስጥ ገቢ መሰብሰብ አቅም እንደዚሁ በኢንዱስትሪ የገቢ ምርት
Going through all the challenges, it was able to be productive in irrigated wheat farms, lowering the importation of consumer goods, replacing the imported industry raw materials with local ones, and in the mining sector, encouraging results were achieved, and the starting of power generating from our Renaissance Dam was remarkable. Mobilizing the public can be taken as exemplary.
The minister reiterated the leadership at all levels and respective bodies are duty-bound to exert more effort in order to ensure the aspired prosperity in the country.
Ethiopia's large-scale wheat production effort has proved promising. The remark came during a performance report unveiled by country's Ministry of Agriculture to the House of People's Representatives the previous day. Santayu Tamrat has more.
With its performance report to the Parliament, the Ministry of Agriculture announced that some 336 million quintals of various crops have been harvested nationwide during the 2021-22 harvest season. The ministry said that the nation planned to cover 13.2 million hectares of land with various seeds during the season and was able to achieve 97% of the plan.
Regarding our plan for crop production and productivity, we plan to cultivate over 12 million hectares of land, and we've covered 97% of this land with seeds. Accordingly, over 336 million quintals of crop was harvested during the autumn season. This year's produce is less than the previous year's produce for similar period. During this report period, 14 million quintal irrigated wheat was harvested in 9 months.
It was indicated that the report did not include areas that missed the farming season due to the conflict, including Tigray region. Hearing the report, the Parliament's Standing Committee for Agricultural Affairs commended that Ethiopia's large-scale wheat production efforts have proved promising.
As we witnessed during our field visit, the irrigated wheat production has been far better than that of the rainy season. The fact that over 14 million quintals of wheat was harvested ascertains the new trend on wheat production has proved promising, is an indication that the vision set to the wheat production is right. If the leadership places proper attention and the current trend is propagated to other areas of the country, the return would be highly rewarding. More importantly, it will be possible to save currency spent for wheat importation.
The engagement of private investors in the sector has availed about 19.4 million quintals of produce over the past 9 months, the minister added.
Ethiopia's ambassador to Benelux countries and EU institutions, Hirut Zemene, met with representatives of Ethiopian diaspora residing in Belgium and exchanged views on recent developments in Ethiopia. The ambassador commended the diaspora for their active participation on various calls made to support the cause of their country, and particularly to extend financial, material and moral support to compatriots affected by the conflict in the northern part of the country. Ambassador Hirut elaborated that recently positive developments are being witnessed due to the measures taken by the government to stop hostility and create conducive environment for uninterrupted supply of humanitarian aid in the northern part of the country. Press Secretary of Prime Minister Office, Bilene Siyum, expressed concern about TPLF's rhetoric of gearing up for another confrontation. While briefing local and international journalists here on Monday, she noted the devotion of Ethiopia's government to address all man-made and natural disasters facing millions of Ethiopian lives. Alula Tekromariam reports.
Addressing the international media outlets, Bilene highlighted Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's recent agreements with various leaders of African countries on ways of intensifying mutual interests. She further expressed the devotion of Ethiopia's government for ensuring peaceful resolution of conflicts, citing the ongoing AU-led process.
The posture of the Ethiopian government still is a posture of wanting peace, wanting the normalization of people's lives that have been disrupted as a result of this conflict. So facilitating this process, as you know, any kind of peace process is long. It has it's not simple, it's a complex process. It has multi-layers as well. So at this point, the Ethiopian government is engaging with a full commitment for peace to come about, is engaging with the AU-led process. So that's as much as that I could say in that regard.
However, Bilene appeared to say that TPLF's recent rhetoric of gearing up for another confrontation remains major concern of the government.
This preparation for another offense, unfortunately, is coming in alignment with the farming season, and it's important to highlight here that the Tigray region would be, if TPLF is amping up the war drums again, as it has been doing over the past few weeks. This is going to be at the expense of citizens, within the Tigray region and farming communities who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, who have missed around in that, and then due to the conflict in the past year and a half, have missed farming seasons as well. So this instigation of violence again would really tremendously affect the farming cycle within the region as well.
Moreover, she said individuals will never be allowed to disseminate hate speech and disinformation under the banner of journalism.
The extent of the exercise of freedom of speech is something that you can monitor in various scenarios as well. So there is that practice, a democratic practice that is coming as part of a culture that is facilitating open space in terms of media. At the same time, we're also particularly experiencing a time where there's polarization along ethnic lines and along religious lines as well. So there's also rules and there are also laws that have been put in place in order to ensure that people are not affected as a result of that, hence the hate speech law as well and disinformation laws. When we talk about journalists, I think it's really important to unpack who is a journalist and who is not, because there's a lot of outcry that has been heard over the past few weeks in terms of journalists that have been arrested. But as far as the Ethiopian Media Authority, which is a regulatory body that licenses journalists, is aware, many of these that are going under the banner of journalists are not accredited or not licensed under the Media Authority.
Bilene further noted that the government of Ethiopia, along with international partners, is distributing humanitarian assistance in response to the man-made and natural disaster in different parts of the country.
So this is just to indicate to you that the government of Ethiopia has continued its commitment to expedite the supply of food and humanitarian assistance to reach the Tigray region. The misconception, I imagine, is starting to dissipate because there has been a concerted effort since the declaration of the humanitarian truce. So this misconception that the government of Ethiopia is obstructing humanitarian assistance continues unabated, however. In this regard, the international community is also encouraged to intensify its effort to meet humanitarian needs in Ethiopia, including for the Tigray regional state. Again, we have to also look at what I mentioned earlier as there's humanitarian needs that are growing as a result of natural disasters also.
Accordingly, millions of people in Tigray, Afar, Amhara, Oromia, Somali and SNNP regional states have received humanitarian aid. In connection with this, she calls upon the international community to intensify their support.
The Health Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Lia Tadesse, received her Rwandan counterpart, Dr. Ngamije Daniel, to discuss ways to enhance collaboration between the two countries in the health sector. The two sides also exchanged experiences with a view to strengthen the existing partnership between health institutions of the two countries. The Rwandan delegation, led by Dr. Ngamije Daniel, visited the academic and medical services at St. Paul's Hospital Millennium Medical College in Addis Ababa and the primary health care services at Bio Health Center and Dibandiba Health Post in Lumi, district of East Shawa Zone. Ethiopia is ramping up aid delivery efforts to Tigray while at the same time clearing the way for the much anticipated national dialogue. Talking to ETV English, Sisai Tasama, political science expert, however, disclosed that TPLF is using humanitarian aid for wearing efforts. Shagari Mato has the details.
Ethiopia is ramping up aid delivery efforts to Tigray. However, there are fears that the TPLF might use the aid for its own war efforts, as it is used to during its days of liberation fighter. Talking to ETV English, Sisai Tasama, political science expert, disclosed that TPLF is using humanitarian aid for warring efforts.
The history told us TPLF were using this aid for weaponizing, the people for the past 15 years. So still they are using the same tool as a tool, holding the accessibility of the food aid to Tigray. They are closing the roads and they are using those foods for the military forces, not for the civilians.
New Zealand-based journalist also said TPLF is making use of United Nations humanitarian aid resources for war.
There's clear evidence that UN resources, trucks, food, TPLF were also accused by USAID of looting their warehouses and taking food from UNICEF and from various other warehouses in Amhara. So, there's clear evidence that TPLF has been making use of UN resources that are humanitarian resources for the purposes of its war effort.
CSI further reiterated that national dialogue that includes political parties, civil societies and religious leaders is crucial to remedy the existing political crisis in the country.
I think all the stakeholders should be, as it is defined well, all-inclusive national dialogue is, should be there for the peaceful state building. So all stakeholders like the political opposition parties, the civil societies, religious leaders, all the citizens of the country should be there for the achievement of the agenda. So all stakeholders should be there for the process of this national dialogue. As the name indicated, that this is a consensus building for political crisis for the past 5 decades. So it is very crucial to have this national dialogue as a country.
Currently, Ethiopia is gearing up to stay successful national dialogue.
Ethiopian ambassador in Juba, Nabil Mahdi, held talks with Mahmoud Solomon Aguk, Interior Minister of the Republic of South Sudan. The two have exchanged views on the ways of effecting the proposed joint border administrators consultation of the adjoining regional states from the two countries that is slated to be held in Ethiopia within the upcoming few weeks. They have also deliberated the ways of strengthening border areas security in addition to common concerns over the region and bolstering the fraternal relations. Paulos Nyonyo, journalist, historian, and author, passed away on June 6, 1993. He wrote 11 substantial books on Ethiopian history, including on the Italian invasion of Ethiopia. In our remembrance of the day in history, we looked back at the works and biography of the famous historian and author Paulos Nyonyo. Johannes van Taun presents the following story.
Many historians and researchers of the history and the development of print journalism in Ethiopia revealed and described that the foundation of print journalism traces back the era of the modernizer Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia, and stated that print journalism in Ethiopia started with the introduction of Aimro newspaper around 1881. After Aimro, there were and are many private and government-owned newspapers that have come into the picture during different regions of the country. And within the introduction and development of the sector, there have been many well-known and respected journalists who have contributed a lot to the development of the sector. Among these personalities, Paulos Nyonyo was one of the most known journalists, historian and author, born from an Ethiopian mother and a Greek national father in the Kulbi area. Due to the problem his mother faced, he left school at a very young age and dropped out in the 4th grade. However, what is known is that he was curious about a lot of things and had unique analytical skills and great intuition. Before he died in 1993, he wrote 11 substantial books on Ethiopian history, including on the Italian invasion of Ethiopia, on the different emperors of the country, and about many more social and cultural issues. Though he was a dropout, he was able to understand English and work on many issues for the benefit of the general reader who was not able to understand English, and in this regard, his contribution is immense. What astonishes the most about his life is that he was engaged in various works before he started the practice of journalism, such as working as a veterinary practitioner. He was also working as painter of spiritual and patriotic pieces and sold them at different bars and so on. His entry into the journalism sector was accidental, and as indicated in the book written by Derejet Zazu entitled Paulos Nyonyo 1926 to 1984 Ethiopian Calendar, he wanted to be a trader rather than be a journalist. However, his contributions of poems to the different newspapers of the time to express his grievance about his working conditions, and the poems he sent to these newspapers to express his love to his girlfriend opened his path to the field of journalism and made him one of the greatest journalists, historians, and authors. Paulos, who was not only best journalist but also greatest communicator, passed away on June 6, 1993.
The National Bank of Ethiopia has issued a statement the previous day banning cryptocurrency or Bitcoin transaction meant to shield financial security of the country. Bitcoin uses a peer-to-peer internet network to confirm purchases directly between users. Bitcoin is a form of digital cash that eliminates the need for central authorities such as banks or governments. Haptam Ashagri has compiled the following report.
Let's talk about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency or Bitcoin isn't money in paper or centers. It exists only online. Today, most money is online. Think about those paycheck deposits into your account or how you can tap your debit card at a store. It's a digital currency that exists in zeros and ones in some computer.
Bitcoin is the biggest form of cryptocurrency. It's the most well-known one, and it's the one that's been the most adopted. Now, to understand cryptocurrency...
Since 2008, some developed countries have recognized cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in their marketing system in order to liberalize their market. It's a form of digital cash that eliminates the need for central authorities such as banks or governments. Now, the National Bank of Ethiopia issued a statement to avoid cryptocurrency or Bitcoin financial transaction in the market across the country. According to the statement, the research finding conducted by the National Bank of Ethiopia is showing the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin is expanding underground in Ethiopia's market. The new system creates ways for money laundering, illegal money transaction, as well as other wrong deals in Ethiopia, the bank remarked. Without the National Bank of Ethiopia's special permission, it is forbidden to undertake financial transaction without Ethiopian birr, it was learned. The National Bank also calls the general public to protect illegal transactions as well as to consider such kind of unrecognized financial transactions across the country.
Gets eaten away by inflation and worth less.
You're watching Addis News Hour, and we are on the segment of What's Trending, as I'm joined with my colleague Haptam Ashagri, and with the previous news that you all have heard about the National Bank of Ethiopia issuing a statement the previous day banning cryptocurrency or Bitcoin transaction, meaning to shield the financial security of the country. I'm here with my colleague once again to elaborate furthermore in person. Haptam Ashagri, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
So what is there to elaborate on what's been trending over the past 24 hours, especially on the banning of the cryptocurrency, which was stated by the National Bank of Ethiopia?
Thank you very much, Doctor. I try to look in the national media, especially social medias, how they are welcoming the decision of the government of Ethiopia, especially the National Bank of Ethiopia, about the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin banning in the Ethiopian economy or market. Especially, there are a lot of issues also related with this decision. There are a lot of issues also raised why the government of Ethiopia is banning such kind of decisions, cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in the national market. Firstly, there are 4 reasons why the government of Ethiopia is banning this Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in the Ethiopian market, especially in the financial transaction. The first one is about the flow of the hard cash. You think this Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is not healthy. That is confirmed by a research finding that was made by the National Bank of Ethiopia before Mendes. And the second reason is why this decision was made is cryptocurrency or Bitcoin is unaware of those illegal business persons or individuals or officials that are using these ways, how they are going to hide a lot of hard cashes in the form of money laundering, and using these ways the government of Ethiopia is deciding such kind of decisions to ban cryptocurrency. And the third one is a lot of corrupted officials, individuals, business persons are using such kind of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin as a form of generating money without the controlling of government or financial institutions like banks and so on and so on. And the last one, it affects the formal flow of money that controlled by the government in the formal way of the economy. That is the reason why the government of Ethiopia or the National Bank of Ethiopia is banning such kind of decisions in the yesterday. I hope that is an issued a statement by the National Bank of Ethiopia why cryptocurrency or Bitcoin is banned due to reasons. All these reasons confirmed by a research, that is research conducted by the National Bank of Ethiopia before Mendes.
Very well, Haptam Ashagri. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.